Hello. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I just want to make sure that we are fine. I'm trying a new setup. I'm trying a new streaming service, so hopefully you can hear me okay and everything is fine. Let me know if you can hear me just fine. But it was a while since the last time I did a stream, and it was about time because I promised that I will try to do one stream a month at least, and that's just that time of the month when I'm getting to the end of October and I haven't done the stream yet. So that's what we're doing today. And probably a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I asked you, what would you like me to talk about? And a few of you suggested things that you're interested in. Non-traditional tech, hey. Hear you loud and clear. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that you can hear me okay. And hopefully there's not any lag and you can hear me as the sound as it is. As I mentioned, it's a new streaming program that I'm trying. Actually was a suggestion. One of you suggested it because I was trying to figure out what's the best way of streaming. So giving a try to StreamYard. We'll see if that works fine. Getting back to what I was saying, that a few days ago, I asked you about what would you like the stream to be about. And some of you asked what is it like to work in tech, how to choose a path, and so on. And those topics are really specific. Let's say, how do you choose a path? And it's really generic for me to answer. So it has to be more personalized. And I figured since I am doing right now, I'm going through the interviewing process. I'm fresh in it. I'm kind of experiencing right now the pains and gains of interviewing, and I wanted to talk about that. And it's relevant to all of us. It's like, it doesn't matter if you just a new grad or you've been in the industry for a while. You have to interview at some point in your life, and sometimes people interview maybe once a few years. Some interviewing more than once a year to get the job they are looking for. And yeah, that's what is the topic today. I wanted to make sure that we talk about what is like to interview as a software engineer. And probably a week or so ago, I introduced or announced that I'm doing the social experiment where I am applying to 100 software engineering jobs and keeping track every week how everything goes. And the month it's actually elapsed, and I'm working on finalizing the results of that video. So it's coming up probably in a week or two. And yeah, it's something that, oh my God, it's a lot of things changed since the last time I interviewed. But first of all, I just wanted to say, hi, Tina. It's really nice to see you. Here. Hi, fellow software developers here on Joel Kindly. Hi, welcome. Glad to see you here. How are you guys? How are you doing? I hope you're fine, doing something great, enjoying software engineering, or maybe taking a break from work, long week or so. Hopefully, whatever you're doing, it's something that it's enjoyable and relaxing. So going back to the topic of today, I wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity, when was the last time that you interviewed for a job as a software engineer? If you kindly leave a comment. And I'm just curious to see, when was the last time you interviewed and how was the process? Like the last time I seriously interviewed, it was probably 8 years ago. But that doesn't mean that I haven't had interviews. You've seen my YouTube videos where I interviewed with Google. I had on-site interview with Google, and then I had interviews with other companies, Microsoft, and I had companies like Amazon and Facebook and other not so well-known names, companies. And what I found, the process changed so much, and it's way, like, I don't know, it became so much more complicated than like 8 years ago it was. It's just like, okay, non traditional tech about a month ago, but already in industry. Yeah, so I'm curious, how was your experience? Like, did you find it truly representative of what you have to do at the job, or it's something else? Um, I found a few companies that their interviewing process is really, really, how to say, grilling. And it feels like it's so much easier to get a job maybe in the White House than to get a job as a software engineer in their companies. And they're companies that they're amazing. I'm just like, through their interview process, I realized that I want to work with them. And that would be an example of, um, let's see, what company was it? I think it was Stripe. Yeah, the interview with Stripe was amazing. They don't focus on you getting to see that you have that deep understanding of algorithms. They really try to see if you can think critically, creatively, and solve the problem. Just overall, their process is amazing. But yeah, it's like, how, like, is that something that you're actually interested to do? Do you like interviews? I'm just curious to hear um, what you guys like or dislike about interviewing in tech. But I would like to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, Joe, kindly. A couple years ago, you were mostly interviewing with tech guys already, but recently you only get to interview with HR folks first, and they can distinguish between Java. They can distinguish between Java and JavaScript. Yeah, I ran in that scenario that the recruiter actually do know the difference. Like, actually, they thought that that's JavaScript is Java, so that was kind of funny. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. That now you get a lot of screening. So imagine, through this 100 jobs that I applied to, about, I don't know, maybe 38% or something like that of those applications end up in being a phone screen. And a phone screen, the majority of cases, probably 85-90%, is actually talking with a recruiter. And you kind of have to pass that. And a lot of times the recruiters are pretty knowledgeable of the system, or not necessarily the system, but the industry. And some are that really don't know. Okay, non-traditional tech. I interview well, but I believe I didn't have the ideal level of experience. It seems like I get beat out by somebody at the end. Yeah, a lot of times it comes to experience, but also what I found, and I'm not saying that's the hardened rule or something like that, or a rule that is really true, but what I found, and from reading a book, it's called Ace, the interview, is that a lot of times it comes to how do you sell yourself. You might be really experienced and have a lot of experience, but if you're not selling yourself, or you're not selling as much as somebody else, even though they might be less experienced than you, they have not as much experience or not as much creativity or other skills that you might have. But if they are really good salesmen, if they can sell and market their skills, market their brand, then they will win. That's what I find true to be in these days. Okay. Jay kindly. I did over 100 applications within the last few months, and over 50 were no answer, which is horrible. True. Like I remember, I can relate to this, what you're saying, that when you apply to so many jobs, you kind of you put your hopes up, and when you don't hear anything, it's really a little bit soul crashing to kind of put your hopes up and not hear anything, or hear within like an hour, like, oh, no, right? Hear an automatic response and that no, you didn't go through. And even though you start to think that something is wrong, but maybe the position is closed or something else, right? So um, the interview process, every like all the stages, it's really um, emotionally, what is the word that I want to use? Emotionally bearing. Like it's really hard to deal with the interviews. And there's this study that was done that the interview is one of the hardest things emotionally after losing a loved one or divorce. So like, if you look at that, like the third place that something that takes, like it's an emotional strain, it's the interview process, like, right? It's like it takes so long for so long and so hard for somebody to mm, to feel the user, not the user, the interview wants to see, they want to see that you are a person that they would like to work with, that it's not a risk to hire you. So basically what they're trying to do, they try to solve these 4 questions, right? The very first one, can you do the job? The second one is, do I like you, or do we like you? The third one is that, are you a risk? And the fourth one, um, can they afford to pay you? So those are the 4 things that kind of what the interviewer or the company is trying to answer when they are interviewing you, right? And you would think that from those 4 things that I just mentioned, that can you do the work takes the majority of the stake in the decision. I'm just curious, before I kind of say what was in the study, I'm curious, from these 4 things that I mentioned, can you do the job? How much do you believe that that takes? What is the weight of that in an interview decision? So do they hire you or not? Just drop your thoughts in the comment. Okay, looking here. Non-traditional tech. Yeah, honestly, I cannot read today. I could have done more to sell myself. I was maybe a little too honest. Yeah. And when it comes to that, it's like sometimes like you feel so awkward selling yourself. I can relate to that. Like it's easy for me to chat with somebody about my abilities and my strength and my weaknesses, be vulnerable or be strong with somebody that I'm comfortable with. And it's a completely different thing to be comfortable with somebody that you don't know, you just met. And yeah, I can completely understand. And but sadly, that's the game. You have to sell yourself. So the person who sells the most themselves, that's the one that will get the job. Jokingly, I asked what they were looking for, and they said they wanted someone with 3 years experience for a senior. With 3 years of experience for a senior? Interesting. Like it's weird, but what I found, a lot of applications that I'm applying to, the experience level says entry level, right? The level that they want. But when you look at the requirements that they're looking for, they look like at least 2 years experience in JavaScript or React or Python or something like that. It's like, is that really entry level? You're looking for 2 years of experience for entry level? For me, that's not the problem, right? I have the experience. But I'm thinking about people who just get in the industry. They really are entry level, and they are looking for people who already have experience. And that's kind of the chicken or the egg situation. But yeah. Okay. Ali Mert. You'll be much more popular on YouTube soon, and I'm here to watch you grow. Love your work. Well, thank you very much, Alima. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. My goal here is to bring value, and it doesn't matter the size. Right now, at least, it doesn't matter for me the size. I want to have a community where we can benefit from each other and support each other. So thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Saba Daftari. um, that's probably the answer to the question that I had, like, what is the percentage of can you do the work from the fourth? Probably that's what you were asking. And non-traditional tech, I would say 80%. And from those two, to be honest, Saba, you got it right. It's actually from the four things that I mentioned, like, can you do the job? Do I like you? And are you a risk? And can we afford you? From those four things, 20% goes to can you do the job? And 40% goes to I like you. So yes, to get into the door, to get the interview, you have to be technically savvy and be able to do the work and have experience. But when it comes to what weighs the most in the process, it's actually do they like you? So you have to present yourself in a manner that they will see that they will enjoy working with you, that they will like to be partner with you, and things that it's easy, and on things when they are not easy, when it's challenging, to see how are you handling the situations where you don't know something. Are you like a crab that clamps in yourself and it's like, I don't know what to do, and I don't hear anything around me? Or I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to get this solved, and I'm a pleasing pleasing person to be around, if I'm expressing myself correctly. Okay, Matt Sarnecki, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Is it possible to get into the field without a degree? Yes, that is actually true. It is possible. Nowadays, it's even more possible. And there, if we talk about a CS degree, right? I'll probably leave the comment there. If we talk about a CS degree, now in the industry, there are so many people who get into the tech industry, either being software engineers, being technical project managers, but let's focus on programmers, on software engineers, right? They can get into the job of a programmer, of a software engineer. They can be a self-taught developers. They can be graduate of a boot camp. They can be a coding school. It can be so many, or you can have a degree in arts. I've seen all of different things, and to be honest, that's probably one of the best things in software engineering. It's not easy to get into the tech, but it's so also open to not really looking at do you have a degree. What I'm trying to say here is that imagine that you were in the field of, let's say, medicine, right? There's no way that you can be a self-taught doctor, or anybody will want to give you a job. You'll say, oh, I studied medicine by myself, right? When it comes to tech, you can study by yourself at home or whatever you want. And as long as you can show your skills, show that you're capable of doing what needs to be done for the work, you can get the job. And that's one of the beauty of being a software engineer, that if you're really into it and you want to pursue the tech career as a software developer, you could definitely do that. And you can do it at your own pace or a set pace, like in a coding school, a boot camp, or a CS university. You choose what works for you. Okay. Joe Kindly once had to do a challenge 4-day work. They didn't take me and could not provide proper feedback. Looked like I just solved a thought test for them. Yeah, those never feel good. And it's like, if you are actually working, like, imagine, like, this is like something that my husband and I were chatting about this a few days ago. It's like, yeah, right now I'm not having a job and I have to do different challenges, have to have technical interviews, on-site interviews, and honestly, they became so many right now that it's really hard to manage them. And happily, that's a good scenario, like you get a good amount of interviews, it's good, but also that you have so many, you cannot prepare for them, you're kind of not passing them, right? But I completely hear you. It's like, if you work, right, you have a job, you have to do well at your job. And while you are working, and also you're trying to find a job that you want to go into a better job, or looking for your next move in your career, and then you get these challenges that are at least 8 hours of work, 16 or 4 days, whatever it is, and at the end you are not getting paid or you're not getting the job, it feels really crashing. I do have a few coding challenges that I have to do. And I was right straightforward with them, like, yes, I would work on them. But right now, my schedule is like literally my week was full with interviews, and I had no desire to work like 20 hours to make sure that I do the interviews and the challenges. And I said, I will do them and so and so. And one company that I interviewed with them, I already had like 4 interviews. I had a technical screen with them, then I had um, 2 interviews, which were like 4 hours, and then I had one more, like a total of 4 interviews. And then after that, they wanted to do a coding challenge as well. They sent it to me, and it was 2 coding challenges. And I told them, I'm busy right now. I will get to them when I'm done with what is in my calendar right now. And they were say, okay. And then the next day they called me and said, we already found somebody, and we already hired somebody. And it's like, I completely can relate to what you're saying, right? You invested time, you done something, and at the end it felt that you were being used for something that they needed to solve, and no proper feedback. And that's really disappointing, and it's hard. Like, again, it's an emotional strain. And I am I signed up to be a mentor, so I will have 4 students, and I'll be mentoring them on a weekly basis. And the training was today. And one of the things that I really liked, a person that they just shared their experience. They were interviewing with JetBlue, I believe the JetBlue, it was the company they interviewed with, and they praised them for the reply they got when they were rejected. The answer they got from the interview was that you need to work on your deeper, it was something like that, you need to work on your deeper, I think I wrote it down. You need time to work on your deeper algorithms and try with us again. They didn't say that you're not smart enough, you're not capable enough, or something like that. It's just you need to spend a little bit more time on it and try again. And that is much, it feels better, right? It doesn't make you feel that you're stupid or you're not capable or something like that. It gives you honest feedback that you're not there for this moment in time, or they didn't get a strong signal and they want to see you again. They are going to consider you again, right? It still feels so much better. And in this case, it's like you, Joe, currently you sharing that you've done 4 days of work with them and you didn't have any feedback. And yeah, that's, sorry. Sadly, that's the experience. Sadly, that's what it is. But the question is, how do you think they should have handled? Like, what would have been an acceptable outcome of this? Like, if they didn't pass or something like that, what would have felt better hearing from them in this case? Okay, Joe kindly, mostly they just look for cheap candidates. My 15 years of experience are worth nothing. I would say that at some level is also true. At the end of the day, yes, it's like they try to keep the costs down, but some of them actually understand that it's not necessarily a cheaper candidate that will do a better job. And some, they don't understand that. They might think that there's this analogy that hopefully I won't butcher it, but some people think that if you throw 9 females and give them a month, you will come up with a child. That's not the case, right? To have a child, you need one person, well, I mean female, to carry the child, and you need 9 months. What I'm trying to say is that something takes time, and it's if you throw more people to it, it doesn't mean that it will be faster. So they think that if they hire maybe 3 people with less experience, um, they will get more out of it. So hopefully I didn't offend anybody with that comment. It's a weird analogy. What I was trying to say is that sometimes more people doesn't mean it's better. Um, and more years of experience sometimes also doesn't mean that it's better. What I'm trying to say there, and again, Joe, is not about you. Like in my case, I have 8 years of experience, but that experience that I have might be not as marketable as a person who've been on the market 3 years. And what do I want to say with that? I do have 8 years of experience, and it was so specific to what I was doing. The job that I had, and I can honestly say that I was successful at it. I did successful projects. I successfully managed the teams that I had, successfully managed TPM or project management, whatever I had to do. Obviously, I had ups and downs, learning and growing, and pains and gains, right? But I do consider I was successful. And those 8 years of experience might not be as marketable as somebody who've been on the market, let's say, a year, 2 or 3. And because they were maybe having different jobs, they had more experience, exposed to more things, they know more things that are marketable right now. And if you look at the years of experience, they are cheaper. But let's say me, a person who has more years of experience, but the experience that I had is not as marketable on the job market right now, doesn't seem as good. So there are different situations, Joe, there. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, that was not of your experience. That was just something that I noticed and a reflection. So, okay. Um, Sam Delise. Again, hopefully I pronounce your name correctly. Hello, nice to see you again. Nice to see you too, and welcome back. I'm glad to see you. Um, I'm IT department student, and in this semester I'm taking object-oriented programming with C++, and I took a C course as well, but I still face difficulty. Is it normal, or I am a helpless case? It is normal. Everybody has different ways of learning. It's like you cannot experience the same thing and learn at the same rate as everybody else. Everybody is unique, and maybe you need just time somewhere to spend more time on something, on understanding one thing, and that will be so much faster to understand everything else versus somebody else who needs less time on every single topic, right? It can be different things. And is it normal to face still difficulty? Yes, it's normal. I remember when I was at university learning object-oriented programming, and it was in C++. I was struggling. I was struggling with the fact that syntactically I understood everything. I knew what to do. However, I was not able to do it to everything from idea to implementation. And with practice and time and just being kind to the process and understand that my pace of understanding something and getting somewhere is different than anybody else's. And with that, with the trial and failure and learning from the mistakes I've done, I got to the point that I actually really, really enjoyed object-oriented programming. I see a lot of benefits in it. Actually, I probably, most cases, I would prefer object-oriented programming versus the other ways of doing things. And it is normal, and you're not a hopeless case. Right now, you just have to understand where you're struggling with, what is your problem, and try to break it down into more manageable things so you can address it one at a time. Vladimir Spotsky, hopefully that's the correct. Definitely a hopeless case. I would just start on OnlyFans if I were you. I'm not sure what you mean. There are everybody learns in different ways. So hopefully you wanted to say that he's not a hopeless case. So Joe kindly, acceptable outcome, proper feedback on what was my mistake. The only feedback was too much comments. Too much comments. I agree with you. knowing it's so important. Like with you have so many interviews and you think that you're doing well, and you expect the response and you never get the response, right? And then you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Because everything was, in my opinion or our opinion as the interviewer, went well, this went well, and like, why didn't we hear back, right? And if you hear back with really useful information, um, constructive feedback, it's really helping you long term to course correct and make sure that the next interview you're doing better, right? Or know what to pay attention to. Or there's the vice versa. You think that certain interviews you do, I don't know, weirdly, and you don't think you will hear from them, but actually hear back from them. So I agree with you. Proper feedback, it's something that it's really missing in the interviews, in the technical interviews right now. Like, I wish I had proper feedback. I actually want to reach out to a few of the interviewers and actually ask them for a favor to be honest with me and tell me what was the thing or things that I could have done better or things that I need to focus on. What was that thing that actually um, decided not to go forward with me? That will be really useful for a lot of candidates. However, I read about that and I believe they don't do this from the liability standpoint. They don't want to take the risk that can sue them or something like that. So there's a reason. It's not that they don't want to do that, give you feedback. They just are trying to be safe to avoid any lawsuits or something like that. So kindly, I use this child analogy all the time. Which one? The the one with pregnant or getting a child, like how long it takes to have a child? Okay. Practical as ASMR. Hi, I want to ask. I try to understand if I would like to learn to code, but every time I look for the simplest examples of coding, I don't understand anything. Then you should try to work with something is really simple. That would be there are sites like, what is it? I forgot the name. There are sites that it's kind of gamifying the process of learning to code, and try to do that as a game. Our brain sometimes processes information easier and faster if it's in a game form. So just give it a try and see if you like that. And don't try to rush it. Try to understand the basics. And once you understand the basics, even no matter how long it takes, once you understand that, it will be so much easier to understand everything else. Non-traditional tech. C++ and C is difficult. It takes time for things to click and make sense. Don't give up. I definitely second that. Like, I agree with you. So kindly, buy books. They are mostly way better for learning than online tutorials. I always learn from the books. Yep, I agree. And also, from all sources, I try different resources to prepare for interviews, and I found that video tutorials and so on. But right now, a few days since I started to use a new platform, and it doesn't have videos, and it's all written down, and I see that I get to learn more from it and understand more from it, and I never expected that to be the case. For whatever reason, I thought that videos are better. So I'm it's something new. I'm trying. I will try. I'm trying it, and we'll see if I like it. I will recommend it to everybody. No, you couldn't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know the train of threads, no comments there. You like functional more than OOP. Interesting. Why? Matt Snarky. Or Nikki. Okay, I will be starting from this point on reading just the first name. I don't want to butcher anybody else's last name anymore. Is tech oversaturated? Thank you for taking the time to answer the questions. No, tech is not oversaturated. And if you look at the prediction of how many people in tech will be needed in the upcoming years, it's like hundreds of thousands of people are needed for the next 10 years in software engineering, something like that. And a few, probably it was last week that Microsoft had a conference. It was called Start Dev Change. So if you want, you can find it on YouTube. They actually recorded it on YouTube and on Twitch as well. It was streamed. And if you're interested in getting into tech, there are a lot of great resources that they shared during that conference. And it goes into great details of that. No, it's not oversaturated, and actually it will need a lot of more people. So hopefully that answers your question. And the conference was called Start Dev Change, if you want to find it. Thanks. No, potential tech. Cool. Ivan Petrov, hello. Vladimir, just a friend tip for your next stream. Try to pre-read comments before displaying them on screen because it's almost 2021 and trolls are everywhere. Okay, thank you. As you can see, I am still trying to figure this out, so I appreciate the feedback. I cannot pronounce my name again. It's not Code Academy. I actually never tried it. I probably should try it. Functional leads to way cleaner code, easier to adhere to design-driven development, or domain-driven development, sorry. Yeah, domain-driven development, and grows better than OOP. For whatever reason, okay, I hear your your points. Maybe I didn't give it enough tries to functional, but I still like the way that object-oriented programming it feels like and how it flows. The process is clear to me. Ali, what kind of development have you done so far, and what is the one you like the most, like front-end, mobile, game development, etc., or what is the pronunciation in English? So far, my job, like a professional job that I've done for 8 years, that could be called backend. Is more focused on backend, even though it had other aspects, like it was a desktop application, and obviously it had a UI, right? So that kind of considered front end as well. But the front end right now, how it's described, is basically it's for web pages, like web design most of the time and stuff like that. But what I've done that. But recently, in my bootcamp experience, I started to learn, and I did front end. Mobile, I haven't done mobile. I'm working right now on a project, on React Native project, and it's something that will be for iOS and Android as well. I haven't done game development. Okay, I will take 5 probably more minutes, and we'll wrap up today's stream. And if I don't get to answer all of your questions, I'll probably answer them in the comments to the video in the later moment. Vladimir, do you have any advice on what kind of projects should a web app developer consider making to impress future employers? Maybe it's broad, right? Whatever you're doing, make sure that is fully functional and the idea is complete. A lot of times, they want to hear what problem are you solving. Like when I was interviewing, I remember that I was impressed with the project that the candidate had. He had a caffeine calculator. And the idea is, I won't say that it's really original or something like that, but I really liked how he presented it, how he described it, what need was it solving. So whatever project you take on, make sure that when you talk about it, you're passionate about it. You describe what need was it solving. What did you learn about it? What were your pains and challenges? And what is your hope for the project? You can do anything from where you want, but if you want to, you have an employer in mind, a specific one. Maybe you want to target something that they are doing. Let's say if you want to work for Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg has a financial side on it. So maybe you want to do a financial app. Could be that. Or let's say if you want to work for Stripe, maybe you do a project that is using the Stripe API. There are so many things that you can try to get into. It's something that it's of interest of yours and something that will show that you are enjoying the project and you had fun working on it and you have plans to continue working on adding functionality to it if it's not complete, because the employer or the interviewers really want to see, do you enjoy what you're doing or not. Do you know or plan to learn DevOps, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, CI/CD, and the likes? I do know a little bit of DevOps. I did learn Docker. I've done a little bit of Docker, microservices. I haven't done Kubernetes or Jenkins, and CI/CD. I did a little bit at work. I am not experienced or anything like at the level that I feel comfortable to talk about it. Like, will sound that I know about it. It's just like the general gist of it. I do know about it, but I'm always curious and learn new things. Do I want to make that a career path? Not at this time, but I'm curious to do more of Docker. Like the project that I have, the one that I've done, the running app, I actually want to make it into Docker container. Vladimir, thanks for your time, and I wish you all the best. For you, you have a question mark if you wish all the best or not. Well, thank you anyways. Very instructive. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate all of you. Hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully I get to answer a few questions. And if there are any things that you would like to know or suggest, I strongly recommend or encourage you to drop them in the comments below, or I'll try to be more regular with posts and ask your feedback and inputs on what you want to see next. As of what you can expect to see the videos to be uploaded will be, I will definitely upload the social experiment that I did, the results of the applying to 100 software engineering jobs. Then I will do, as I promised, the Visual Studio Code extensions, the one that I enjoy the most and use the most. And there are also things that I'm interested in doing, like talking about something that I read today. It was a software developer, 34 years old, retired because he followed the movement, let's say the FIRE movement. And I've been interested in this movement for a while now also. So I was planning and curious to actually make a video about that. So if you're interested to hear about that, stay tuned. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. But there's one more minute. Do you know about FIRE? And are you interested about that video? Just really quickly, just let me know. It's like yes or no, 1 or 2, or now 1 or 0. Yeah, we are computer science people. Okay, go on FIRE. Good. I really like that. Actually, one of the projects that I wanted to do an app for like the FIRE to make sure that something that will help track the finances and stuff like that. So cool. I'm happy to see that a few of you are actually curious and interested in getting the video about FIRE. Good. And for those who don't know what FIRE stands for, it's financial independence, retire early. And it doesn't mean that you have to retire. You're free to retire if you want to. You can continue to work anywhere from anywhere you want if you're interested in doing so. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. I will be sending a post in the upcoming weeks to ask for your input on what would you like us to chat in the next live stream. And I'm also considering to do streams on Twitch. So if you are interested in that, make sure to let me know about that. As always, wishing you to have a great weekend. And thank you very much for all of you being here, for great conversations, great questions, and support and comments. And yeah, bye-bye.